Take two. Hey everyone, my name is Levi and I want to talk to you about The Last of Us episode 7. I'm pretty sure it's 7. There's not a whole lot to talk about. This episode was very boring. It was another love story that, okay, I get it. This love story was a part of a game. Okay, cool, whatever. But you could have written it more interestingly. It was a very boring episode. Not much happened. It was nearly an hour of hanging out in a mall and not much else. But one of the things I did want to talk about was Joel. Last episode, he was wounded, and in this episode, it begins with Joel bleeding out on a table and Ellie trying to take care of him. And Joel has tears in his eyes, and he is crying about it. But that's not something I want to see from Joel in the series, because the Joel in the game wasn't that guy. The Joel in the game was a badass. Imagine, if you will, John Rambo getting stabbed or shot with an arrow, which I'm pretty sure happens in the movie, and then bleeding out and crying about it. I'm not saying Joel is Rambo tough, but he's pretty tough. He's a badass. He's been through a lot in this terrible world that they live in, and he's not the one to cry about dying. Even if he was crying about his fear of leaving Ellie behind. I'm a husband and a father, and I hope to God that someday when I die, or if whatever happens and I'm on my deathbed, that I can look my wife and my kids in the eyes and reassure them and be for them in that moment what they themselves may not be and they may need to see. And it just really bothered me to see Joel not being that. Immediately we cut to a flashback. It's back in the QZ in Boston, and Ellie is in school. She's running around cafeteria and gymnasium. It seems as though every single thing they do with this character is to make her unlikable, including making her the kid that's just kind of half-assing it in PE. I was that kid. I understand how unlikable that kid is. But when you're writing a show and you want people to connect with a character, don't make them that kid. Basically, it's just that Ellie is unlikable throughout this entire episode. The episode that should have been the one that connects you to her and makes you like her and makes you care about her story didn't do that at all. By the end of the episode, I still really disliked her. And I think part of the problem is that they are trying to make Ellie the tough one of the couple. Joel has become emasculated and softened, and Ellie they've made overly hard. We see this when she's talking to the federal officer, who I'm assuming is the principal of their school, after she's gotten into a fight, and he's reprimanding her about the fight and trying to explain to her, you can do better. And she looks at him and says, just stick me in the fucking hole and get it over with. To me, that is a Joel line. He gets in trouble, and then he's just like, just do what you got to do. I ain't bothered by it. But we get that from Ellie. We don't get that from Joel. What we get from Joel is a lot of panic attacks and whining and running away, basically. And Ellie is the one who's standing up and being, for lack of a better word, the man. So what we get to see in this episode is a character, Ellie, who has no fear. She's just good at everything. Essentially, there's no growth for this character that is needed. She's already tough as nails. She's already the smartest one in the room. She's got it all figured out. And then her best friend, Riley, who is essentially perfect with no growth needed. The entirety of this episode is watching two people who have no character development whatsoever. There's no real tension between them. Even when Ellie finds the bombs that the girl is making, it lasts all of like 5 seconds before she's back and they're best friends again and everything's okay. You get more tension and drama from a Hallmark Christmas movie when the woman finds out that the guy is only cooking this great big meal for the TikTok views, and then they almost break up. But you know, he's learned his lesson. He did originally want to do it for the TikTok views, but now he's doing it because he cares about her Italian family. I should know this much about plots of Hallmark movies. There's also another scene of sympathizing with the character, and I don't understand it. I don't really get why we need to sympathize with, again, every character. The officer of Fedra that Ellie is talking to goes on to make a pretty solid point about if we're not here to protect these people, then they're going to end up killing themselves and just falling apart. Previously, in other episodes, we were told that Fedra is this terrible group of people that rape, murder, and steal from the people. And now we're hearing a sympathetic viewpoint. And I don't get why. Maybe they're trying to show that life is not black and white. There's not good guys. They're not bad guys. Everyone has their own viewpoint in the real world. But this isn't the real world. It's a TV show. Just show me some bad guys. Show me some good guys. And get on with the story. And skip over this boring stuff like this episode. We also get reintroduced to Ellie's psychotic side. Episode 3, maybe 4, there was the scene where Joel and Ellie went into a store. She found a crawl space and discovered an infected person caught in some rubble. And she pops out her switchblade and slowly stabs it in the eyeball. That was like the first hint of this girl having some problems. The second time was when she had the gun and she was playing with it in the mirror, acting like she was straight out of Compton or something. I'm pretty sure there were a couple other times. Those are the only two that are coming to mind at this moment. But in this episode, her and her friend find a dead man in a hallway, and she is super fascinated and kind of excited by this dead person. Why, out of all the character traits you could have given this character to make her likable, which they haven't given her very many, did they choose to do this weird interest in death? It's just another thing. The eating, the smart ass remarks, the overall look. Let's be honest. But now this weird like psychotic thing, I don't know. They're doing everything they can to make this character as unlikable as possible, which definitely lessened the impact this episode was supposed to have. This episode was supposed to get you to, again, draw closer to this character, see her little friendship blossom into love or a crush or whatever it was supposed to be, and get you caring about her and her friend. And by the end of the episode, I just wanted the infected guy to show up. I just was waiting for that to happen. They teased him a little earlier in the episode, and then when he finally showed up, it was just a quick little whatever, but at least it was something. Something happened. For a show that's set in a fungus zombie apocalypse, the people who are writing this really don't want anything to do with the fungus zombie apocalypse. They should have just written a drama, a plain ass boring drama that I wouldn't have watched, which is probably why they did this, because I am watching, because I'm hoping to see some fungus zombies. Hoping, and I keep hoping, and when they do show up, it's So like I said, there wasn't much that happened in this episode. In fact, by the end of the episode, we're still at the exact same place we were at the beginning of the episode. Joel is bleeding out and Ellie's trying to save him. A couple other things that caught my attention. When they were dancing on top of the display case, I can't tell you how nervous that made me. That glass is not made for human weight. A few minutes later, they show Ellie smashing it with a baseball bat very easily. That shit would have broke and those kids would have hurt themselves. I think that's another instance of Ellie's psychotic behavior as well. Granted, her friend, I just don't remember her name, was being attacked and Ellie went to save her, stabbing the infected guy in the head. But the ease with which she just lets that stuff roll off her shoulders and kind of finds joy in it, again, it's weird. It's just strange. I do think it would make a more interesting story with character development and all that if Ellie was traumatized by some of this stuff. But again, this character has no place to grow. She already is the toughest. No, she's the toughest person. She's the toughest person in the show. The only one that was possibly tougher than Ellie in this show so far was Tess. I'm not wondering about whether or not she's going to learn any valuable lessons in this show. Joel will. Joel is learning to care again, even though in this show he's already caring about people. Again, you fucked up Joel. HBO, you fucked up Joel. Right from the beginning. And also the comic book that she was reading earlier. The art sucked. They couldn't hire somebody. It's HBO. They work directly with DC. And you guys couldn't have hired a comic book artist to draw those pages. Whoever drew those pictures, I'm sorry if you are a professional comic book artist, but that shit sucked. Remember the show Heroes? I think it was on ABC, about superheroes, and they had a lot of drawings, and one of the characters had the ability to draw the future or something. And they got Tim Sale, I believe, to do the artwork. I'm going to have to look that up. Who did the drawings in the TV series Heroes? I was right. It was Tim Sale. I'm pretty proud of myself. That's how little happened in this episode. I'm talking about the comic book drawings at the beginning of the episode, at the end of my review video, because there's nothing to talk about. So, yeah, I mean, what does happen? Ellie and the girl hang out, they kiss, she dies. Not Ellie, the other girl, obviously. They cut back to Joel bleeding out and Ellie trying to save him. And then that's it. That's it. That's the episode. It was a 57-minute, I believe, episode. They could have cut half an hour easily from this and still had the same impact as they did by the end of the episode. Or, more importantly, they could have had these two girls go through some very tense and suspenseful things so that we, the audience, felt those same things. The movie Speed. You all know the movie Speed. Sandra Bullock, Keanu Reeves. Even though the premise was silly, the idea of Sandra Bullock's character and Keanu Reeves' character falling in love, they even made fun of it in the movie. Essentially, she says, people who fall in love over traumatic circumstances end up falling out of love because they can't keep that same level of excitement. The writers of that movie knew it was a silly idea, but we all bought it. We all were invested in it. By the end of that movie, we wanted them to get together because they'd been through so much together. They could have done that with this episode. We could have watched these two girls go through some very scary, dangerous things and grow together in that way. But instead, we get to see them walk around a zoo. A zoo? What is wrong with me? I thought about the carousel, which made me think of a horse, which made me think of animals, which made me think zoo. We get to see them instead walk around a mall. They go on a carousel. So yeah, that's all there is to it. We are 7 episodes in, and so far 3.5 episodes have been pretty decent. The other 3.5 have been hot garbage. If you're wondering what the half episode is, it's the episode with Kathleen, episode 4. Kathleen was this half that sucked. The rest of it was pretty good. That's not a great track record for a TV show. We got 2 more episodes left to, I guess, redeem. I kind of don't care anymore. I'm going to watch the final 2 episodes, obviously. But I think it's too late for me to care about whether or not it gets good or not. But I'm going to finish this iced coffee. And I'm calling it quits. Have a good one. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. Also, comment, let me know where I got it wrong and what you agree with. And if you would, I'd appreciate it if you'd head over to my Spreadshirt page. I've got some designs over there. Maybe you could buy a t-shirt or a sticker. I'll leave the link in the description below. Have a good one.